today's economy, it might not seem like it's worth much. But this tiny piece of copper, or zinc, has a rich history, and some surprising stories hidden within its small frame. From the origins of the U.S. Mint to the rare pennies worth thousands, this seemingly insignificant coin has seen a lot of change. So, in today's video, we'll dive into the history of the penny, explore how its value has changed over time, and reveal the shocking worth of rare pennies that could be sitting in your pocket right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to take an in-depth look at the 1-cent coin, the penny. It's been in circulation for over 2 centuries, and it has a fascinating history that stretches back to the early days of the United States. But that's not all. We'll also explore why pennies are still in circulation today despite their dwindling value, and why some rare pennies are worth far more than you might imagine. Our story begins in the late 18th century, when the United States was still a young nation. Before the founding of the U.S. Mint, the country had no official currency of its own. Foreign coins, like Spanish dollars, were used for trade. But with independence came the need for a national currency. In 1792, President George Washington signed the Coinage Act of 1792, which established the U.S. Mint. The act authorized the production of a variety of coins, including the 1-cent piece. At the time, the 1-cent coin was intended to be a practical way to handle small transactions, which were increasingly necessary as the nation grew. The first 1-cent coin, the chain cent, was minted in 1793. The design was controversial, featuring a chain of links surrounding the word liberty, symbolizing the unity of the 13 original colonies. Lady Liberty appeared on the obverse, wearing a Phrygian cap, a symbol of freedom. But the public didn't embrace the chain motif, and the design was quickly changed after just 1 year. After the chain cent, the design of the penny continued to evolve. In 1837, the Liberty head cent was introduced. This design featured Lady Liberty wearing a cap, and the coin was larger and made of pure copper, making it more valuable. The design would last for several decades, though it eventually gave way to newer motifs reflecting the nation's progress. In 1859, the U.S. Mint introduced the Indian head cent. This design is one of the most iconic in the history of American coinage. The coin featured a profile of Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress. This design stayed in circulation until 1909. In 1909, we saw one of the most famous changes in American coinage, the introduction of the Lincoln cent. To commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint decided to feature the 16th president on the coin, making it the first U.S. coin to feature the image of a sitting president. The Lincoln cent quickly became one of the most enduring symbols of American coinage. On the reverse side of the coin, we initially saw 2 stalks of wheat, symbolizing the country's agricultural roots. This version, known as the wheat ears design, remained in circulation for nearly 50 years. The 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse design was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial. This design lasted for nearly 50 years before being updated again in 2009 to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial with a new reverse showcasing a modern interpretation of his legacy. Today, the penny features the shield cent reverse design, introduced in 2010. The shield, with 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies, symbolizes the strength and unity of the United States. But what is the penny worth today? While it may seem insignificant, the penny has a lot more history packed into its tiny frame than we realize. In fact, the purchasing power of the penny has dramatically changed over the past century due to inflation. Just 100 years ago, a penny could buy a loaf of bread, a candy bar, or even a newspaper. But today, that same penny can barely get you a single piece of gum. In fact, due to inflation, a penny today is worth only a fraction of what it was worth in the past. Interestingly, it costs more to make a penny than the coin is actually worth. The U.S. Mint spends around 2.1 cents to produce each penny. With over 150 billion pennies still in circulation, that's a huge cost to taxpayers. And yet, the penny remains in circulation due to its role in daily transactions. Now, while most pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are some rare pennies that are worth far more than you might imagine. In fact, certain pennies are worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars. Take the famous 1943 copper penny, for instance. During World War II, the U.S. Mint changed the composition of the penny from copper to steel to conserve resources for the war effort. However, a small number of copper pennies were mistakenly struck in 1943. These rare coins can now fetch over $1 million each at auction. Another valuable penny is the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent. Only around 484,000 of these pennies were minted, and the initials VDB, for the designer Victor David Brenner, were removed shortly after production. Today, in pristine condition, a 1909 SVDB can be worth anywhere from $1,000 to $100,000, depending on its grade. So, with inflation and the rise of digital payments, many people wonder, what's the future of the penny? While it remains a part of U.S. currency, the question of whether to discontinue the penny has been a topic of debate for years.